Hi, at least one time in your life, you are either taken fishing by a family member or maybe even a friend, no matter if it's in your early years or if it's in your later years. Maybe some of you haven't been fishing yet. But the one thing you do learn when you go fishing, and it's the thing everybody learns, is how to tie knots. But the one basic knot that everybody learns the first time is the double knot because it's simple, easy, and you don't have to explain it to people very much. Or sometimes they even do the triple knot whenever they're feeling a little risky. But today I'm going to explain to you a couple knots that I personally use, and I'm going to show you some of my setups that I have. So that way, if you would like to go fishing or something like this, hopefully this helps you if you're not very well educated on some of your stuff. The first knot I'm going to show you today is a fisherman's knot. And with a fisherman's knot, you're just going to take your knot, your line, you're going to slip it through your loop on your hook. I always like to put my pinky down to give it like a nice tension. And you're going to pull it up and kind of make a V. Slip your finger through so that way it'll keep a gap between the V. And you're going to wrap that line, that loose end line, around your main line 5 to 7 times. I've always been a 5-time kind of guy, but some people like 7. It's really up to you. And then once you have that done, you're going to pull your finger out where you had it placed, and you're going to take that little end and you're going to slip it through the open spot. But you're not going to pull it closed because you're going to notice that you have another loop created where you will then slip your line through. And the most important thing about this is you always want to wet your line. Wetting your line helps it slide down better, so that way you have better tension. And you want to pull it nice and slow so that way you can get it nice and tight. Just like that. That knot I use a lot when I use that knot about 95% of my time. And I use that knot on stuff like my soft plastics, as so. I use that knot on my spinner baits. I even use that knot on shallow running crankbaits and rattle traps. Now, and those setups are best used during the early spring, summer, and early fall times. Now, the second knot I'm going to show you is called a polymer's knot. I don't use the polymer's knot a whole lot unless I'm doing deep, heavier setups. Like the jig, for instance, or maybe even a deep diving crankbait, or sometimes even a Carolina rig, as it does have a weight with clackers and all that sort of stuff on it, so it's a pretty heavy setup. And those setups are best used for your more hotter times of year, like in the middle, towards the end of the summer, when it's really cold and you want to get really deep. So here we go. So this is the polymer's knot. You want to take the end of your line and you want to slip it through the hole. Okay? Then you want to stick your finger, your pinky, just like we did for the fisherman's knot, and you're going to put it on the hook to create tension. But you're going to take the end and you're going to slip it back through the hole that you stuck it through the first time, creating like this big old huge loop. Creating this big old loop. And once you have that loop, you're gonna leave a big old tag that you're gonna have to use later. So what you want to do is you're gonna take that big old tag and you're gonna wrap it around your line, like so. Then you're gonna make this. Here's a loop that you created down here. You're gonna take it and you're gonna slide it through that loop, making almost like a cradle. And you're gonna take it and you're gonna slip that hook through that cradle. But don't pull it tight yet, because the one thing you need to remember is always wet your line. So that way it pulls nice and tight. See, like so. Then you have to cut this tag off whenever you're ready to use it. those are just the two knots that I use most of the time. There's a lot of knots out there, and you can never know too many knots because there's better knots for different scenarios and different types of setups and stuff like that. But those are just the two knots I like to use most of the time. But thank you.